Morning, 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 morning. Episode number 14 of the $9 podcast with yours truly, Drewski, moderator of the Talking Shop, official Talking Shop Patreon. And it's Halloween morning. Rushing headlong into November. And the boys are going to have a busy next couple days. The boys are, today, they're going to be doing trick-or-treating with their kids. And then right after that, you hop on a flight, go over to England for Revolution Pro for a day or two. Meet and greets, wrestle a little bit. Wrestle, I think Lycos Jr. I think is one of the guys that are wrestling. He's a real good, kid Lycos. Yeah, he's a real good kid, real good kid. He usually teamed with Chris Brooks. He teamed with Chris Brooks for a while, for years in the English scene. And then the boys come home for about a day, and then they fly out to sunny San Diego, California. Now are they going to meet yours truly? Who's to say? Who's to say, indeed? Because I keep asking, and they're not. And it's apparently I don't need to know. It's like they show up, they show up. I DM'd the gun and go and told them, hey, not that I'm trying to twist your arm or anything, but there's 4 casinos within like about 15-minute drive of my place. Hint, hint. Right? Because you guys are gonna have a day off before day off before going to TJ and the crash. So want to hang out with a coworker, basically giving a performance review. One-sided performance review, basically. LG's going, I'm paying you how much? Yeah, exactly, Gallows. You're not. For a little bit, I thought of subtitling this podcast as "You get what I'm not paid for," and which is accurate, to a point. But if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not going to obsess over it. I'm not going to stalk them at the airport. Lord knows they have enough people stalking them at airports and shit. That's just got way past getting old. It's very dangerous, especially these times. Man, notice the new merch. The boys have a new, called an Audible, and have their own Dashery store now called It's goodbrothers.dashery.com. It's basically it's a it's an offshoot of T Public, or it's basically there's no upfront costs. It's like people you run sites. Basically, all you do is load your designs up, and and the infrastructure will take care of the rest. It's like they'll print the shirts out, send them out, everything, and it's basically you get a cut anywhere between like 30 or 50% per item sold, which compared to like some places some places where it's basically you're paying the cost of the shirt. Say I'm selling a shirt. It's like I have to pay for the cost of the shirt beforehand, and then wait a couple of weeks for if I make a sale for the sale to come through. So it's basically you're not really sure. You don't the the shipping times are amazing because they say for Dashery it's about supposedly 6 to 8 days. I got all this stuff and I ordered a shirt and a couple things of stickers and they got here in 2-3 days. Well, it's mainly because T Public is based out of San Diego, so I got that going for me. So basically it's easy. It's like it's a local thing. So I took a look at their stores, and a ridiculous amount of options available for stuff. It's basically, there's a saying about overloading a consumer with too many options. And the boys have gotten very close to it with this site. I got it, it's got about it's almost like 20 different options on on shirts, including sizes and stuff. And it's like, mm, it seems like they have 900 options on their site. But the site intrigued the hell out of me, so I decided to make my own for the $9. And so a $9 podcast at dashery.com is live, and there's Falcons Nest shirts. There's Falcons Nest merch available that I refer to it as unofficial official. I'm sure there will be. I'll get a talking to about it because IP and all that. But grease a few palms, and technically I'm part of it. So it's semantics. So that's what I'll say. What I'll say if question about it. Other than that, it's like never you mind. It's like I mean, I only have like you know I have stuff. I only have like 60 options now. So you thought I had way too much merch than that. On the other side, you fools. And the percentages are better with this site. So it's a no-brainer. It's like, okay, I'll do it. I'm on it. I'm onto it. So what happened? What's happened in the past week? Well, in the old wrestling world, it's like, well, CMLL and Stardom announced a partnership because which is very interesting because notice in the past couple of years, it's like the Arena Mexico has grown to love the Yoshi. Grown to love the Yoshis. They've had a tournament, a Grand Prix tournament like every year. It's like they invite talent from Japan. It's like Mei Saruga did 2 years ago, and basically they loved the hell out of her. She's an instant fan favorite because she totally embraced the Mexican culture. She considers herself a little Apple luchador now. Because when she was over there, she was looking all over Arena Mexico for like an Apple luchador mask to take home, but she ended up taking home the banner that CMLL had hung up. Those you ever see like the Grand Prix is like you can go in the Arena Mexico and they have those big ass 10 foot by something foot banners of the talent. The talent gets to get they CMLL lets the talent take those banners home with them, which is a really cool thing because they did it with because Balyanaki went over there too, and he was able to get him take his home as well. I've asked him where are you going to hang that thing? He still has no idea because it's big enough to cover the ceiling in his place. But I see a deal breaker being brokered like this, and I first thought is Sleepy Hoot is making moves like a G. The, the true invisible hand of wrestling, the silent partner of TalkNShop, chief kayfabe, chief kayfabe officer, chief kayfabe officer Rocky Romero. That's ooh, that that has a possibility of a shirt. Maybe you can have some time to broker a deal between CMLL and Larry's Auto Pro. How about the boys? Just a bit, just a bit. You know, don't need another Vimeo money fiasco, which will be that'll be a deep dive sooner than later. Probably probably way later. I'm gonna go right out and come right out and say I didn't watch it and I pay attention to anything WWE did over the week. You know, my fault entirely. It's good, I was too distracted by what was going on in AEW. It was like a dynamite. It's like the they're doing the last temptation of the Young Bucks storyline with like that bastard Don Callis trying to seduce the boys, seduce those fine Christian boys to sell their souls to sell their souls to join the family. Faustian Don Faust Callis. Sneaky, slimy bastard. He's great. He's fucking great at this. Yeah. I mean, then you have the family summit, which is like a point. As soon as I heard that was going to be part of it, I'm all, oh, okay, appointment TV. Well, let's further this Takeshita Okada beef, and set the stage for like the Don Callis Civil War, which is coming up. And it's like, but some people seem to think that it's not going to end with the cut. It's not going to end up like Takeshi leaving. It's going to be they're going to be sick of Okada shit and kick him out. They can go like 4 or 5. They can go a couple different ways with it, and it's like you, you know, but Okada being Okada is instigate, uh, instigating boy. Jeez. There's one thing that's consistent about Okada's career in New Japan. It's like he hated he you know disrespecting young boys, and he considers Takeshi a young boy. And it's when they do come to blows, it's going to be epic, but it has to be the right platform. But I noticed during the pull apart, because they got face to face, got a little heated. It's like, okay, who broke up with who? Who was holding who back? I'm looking at the sides. I'm all, okay, how the split's going to be. Because you got Rocky siding with Takeshita, Chaos Boy Rocky siding against Chaos Boy Okada. That intrigues me quite a bit. You would think because Okada and Rocky were like practically joined at the hip in New Japan. It's an interesting direction they're going. We'll see. We'll see what happens because they're teasing it right. They're teasing it right, and I'm intrigued where it goes because they're about to they still have to do the Continental Classic, which they haven't announced that yet. But they announced two blood and guts matches for the blood and guts thing. Might end up the whole card being the whole Dynamite's just going to be two blood and guts matches, each of them an hour long, or something. I got the conglomeration against the Death Riders. You would think that would be an end to it. It's like the end game being Mox quitting in the war game and then getting jumped by the rest of the Death Riders and getting jumped out, and Claudio taking over. But Roddy, or keep an eye on Roddy. Roderick Strong is in that match, right? They could go. Roddy betrays a conglomeration and joins the Death Riders. But there's going to be Claudio's going to take over because Claudio's been sort of absent in the past couple of weeks for like anything Death Rider stuff. He, he's scheming. That Swiss man is scheming when he's not when he's not making a great cup of coffee or harassing chugs. And the women's tag team tournament started, and I feel bad for Penelope Ford. Tearing your UCL on a freak move. You know, sometimes simple moves like that are the most dangerous. No timetable for her coming back. They could have gone with a bot. Could have gone with like giving Ty J a bye, not like had a substitute, but having calling TK calling an audible and having Marina Shafir team with Megan Bain with the amount of the amount of former Stardom talent that are known for hard hitting in it's a hard hitting bracket all overall. It's like there's no there's no niceness. They're going the ladies are gonna bring the wood, bring the forearms. They're gonna it's gonna be strong. This whole tournament's gonna be like strong style shit, and it could be sleeper the best tournament that AEW does this year if done right. If they're but then I'm still gonna say if they really wanted to do it right, Emi Sakura and Mei Suruga should have been in the tournament, or at least thinking of the talent that's not not in the tournament that they could have run with. It's like Nyla and Rio would have been amazing with a little big team. Little big teams always work, right? The power person, the speed person. Hell, May and Nyla would be fucking incredible, and they get along. I know I talk about May a lot, but there's a reason because she is the future. She's the future of Joshi's in Japan, in my view. Because yesterday, Emi Sakura had her 30th anniversary show, and the card was like it's basically full of people that she's influenced from over her 3 decades. And one of the matches was a callback to the high speed match from a couple of years ago between AZM and May. So, but the great thing about it's the first time AZM has been in Choco Pro, and she loved it. She loved it because her and May get along great. They have great chemistry. The interesting thing was Starlight Kid was there as well. Might we be seeing more crossovers between Choco Pro and Stardom? It seems that way. It seems that way to my mind. It seems that way to my eyes. I wholeheartedly support it. And I also noticed that coming up in DDT, there's a match like 9 years in the making between Zachy Boy, Zack Sabre Jr. and Chris Brooks. They haven't wrestled each other in like 9 years. 9 years in England. They're both vastly different wrestlers than when they were then. And it's interesting to see because they're real good friends. So it's going you know the adage you hit from the pro wrestling adage you hit your friends harder in wrestling matches than anything else because they can take it. And that's I expect a lot of that in that match. That's going to be a fun match to watch. I can't wait to see it. And that end of show angle of with the reveal of Hangman, masquerading as Tony Schiavone was so well done. It was so well done. It started out awkward as hell. The kind of awkward was like it's like a BTE skit that goes on a little too long, awkwardly long for gets too awkward. And it veers back to being funny. That's basically it. It's like Joe's facial reaction sold the whole thing. But there's storyline lines. There's going to be repercussions because because it's basically Tony Schiavone was basically Hangman was like basically Tony lip syncing for Tony Schiavone, and Joe being the vengeful son of a bitch he is, he's going to go after Tony. And I fear for Tony's life, but not that much because I I know who Tony's friend is, Tony's favorite wrestler is, and he's got beef with pretty much 95%. His favorite wrestler has pretty much beef with like 95% of the locker room, and he's a little mad. I'm expecting Yops to draw the attention of Eddie Kingston and Hook because the storylines there with Joe and Hook. Eddie and maybe Nigel coming in to defend Tony. I could see that, I could see that happening to the trios. I see that happening to the trios in the future. And, you know, the match itself, it will be, if and when it happens, it'll be interesting because Eddie and Joe haven't faced each other in years. And again, they're both vastly different than when were back in their prime. I think Eddie's might be better now than he was like in Ring of Honor. And Joe, Joe is still Joe. Joe could be nine. It's like Haku. It's like I don't care how old he is. He's still that guy. I, I mean, he could be a walker. He could be in a rest home or whatever, and I'm not fucking with him no matter what. And I know, turn on a fucking dime. And I think I'll end that here. So you know, as always, it's like $9 podcast at yahoo.com for constructive criticism and fetching, and give me a ration of crap for my Timu Dave Meltzer takes on chat. Uh, yeah, I hear you, Darren. You say that like it's a bad thing. It's like being compared to Meltzer, and it's I'll take that as a compliment. I'll take that as a compliment. Right? Someone say my room's kind of looks like Meltzer's right now. Yeah, as again the you know yeah. For those of you on YouTube watching this, it's like okay, these are usually Patreon exclusive podcasts. Yeah, I torture Falcons SFTs to their to their delight. Well, they seem delighted. I mean, you can never tell at the nest. A whole lot of cuck talk. But if that sort of thing appeals to you, check out the website. It's like patreon.com/talknshop. TalkNShop. If you like it, go ahead, sign up. It doesn't cost that much to sign up. We try and be, it's a fun little community. Machine Gun and Gallo. Well, Machine Gun tries to jump in the chat almost on a daily basis if he's not too busy. Gallows would jump in, but his AOL discs and his a combination of his AOL discs running out and his Wi-Fi being from the Stone Age tend to keep him out of it. And Rocky Rocky pretty much has a restraining order against the Patreon, more or less, allegedly. So I've been told by certain people. He may be lurking in the chat, much like apparently rumored a lot of people you may see on your screens like a couple of days a week lurk in the chats under assumed names. I'm not gonna name names. You'll both figure it out. It's like the boys are like trying to load up the YouTube of their YouTube channel with like more content. It's like next week, again next Thursday after Dynamite. No, next Wednesday. Next Wednesday night after Dynamite, which this podcast will probably air like will probably be up like the day of. Yeah, this podcast will probably be up on made public Wednesday. That day of, it's like after Dynamite Wednesday night, the Hoots will be live. And Hoots will be live on Talk Shop, and they're threatening to bring in people, special guests. They're not saying who. Could it be certain 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 Biz Cliz members? Could it be Heath Rains? Could it be well, who knows? There's so many choices. You know, just tune in Wednesday. It might be me, which would disappoint a whole hell of a lot of people. I'll tell you that.